Hey gang, it's Vicki Ross. Actually, I'm back. I had a little recharge period where I didn't seem to want to do anything but sleep for a couple of days. I'm back with another video of some Canvas Corp products. This one is Coffee and Tea Collection, and this is a craft paper with black print on it. And we're going to see what happens if we take a teapot, and I'll draw a teapot and make a collage out of coppery colored jelly prints and then shade it. We're going to mount it to one of their 12 by 12. This is an unprimed duck cloth canvas, gallery wrapped, and we'll see what happens. The first thing I'm doing is wetting this. The paper is such good quality that it's not going to tear very easy. So I kind of just gave it a quick eyeball. Then I want a real jagged edge, and I'm using a decal ruler that I think is plaid. I think I've talked about that before. Yes, it is. And what I want to do is rip it really rough. Now, I'm telling you, this paper is top quality. Alright, we'll save that. Now, see what we've got here? A real nice rough edge. Now, we're going to do the same over here. I didn't spend much time thinking about where I wanted to crop it because the whole design is nice. Get started. There we go. Some of these pieces might find their way into a collage. Okay, no need for y'all to watch that. I'll be back when I get it all trimmed. Alrighty, I'm back. Let me show you what I've got. It's roughly, this was 12 by 12 inch paper. I roughly took an inch off all the way around. So now I decided that that duck canvas might soak up all the gel medium that I used to glue the paper down with or collage the paper. So this is a tub of gesso I've had sitting around, and every once in a while I add to it, and if I need a khaki color I'll add some coloring to it. And I'm going to see if I can get around with what I've got in here and do the sides. I'm not trying to match the paper exactly. If I thin it down, it might. It'd be nice if I didn't have to mix anymore. I don't know of anybody that has untreated canvases unless you stretch your own, and it really comes in handy if you're doing, well, I mean, you can do anything on this. You could sew, you can do whatever, and you can seal it yourself. There are a lot of oil painters who paint really nice portraits on this weave of a canvas or duck cloth. A lot of artists prefer to do their own priming on canvas, so this is no different. Alright, we made it around. Now we're going to do the edges. And this jug of gesso might be finished. I'll be back. Alright, that turned out great. I had enough to go around all of this twice. It doesn't really bother me that I've got some little white things shining through, and you shouldn't let it bother you either because those are easily covered up if they continue to bother you. Now, the other thing I did was took some Deco Art white gesso and put in the middle just so that my matte medium won't soak in so bad. I dried it and it's still a little bit cool. I dried it from both sides. And the other thing that I did was I stacked up a couple of things here so that my surface could be pressed on and I can move it around if I need to. I'm planning, I even left the hickeys and stuff in it. I don't think that's going to stick. Well, that wasn't the same. Yeah, it was. I want you on there. It's the little round thing that you get on the ends of your paint jars and it dries under the cap. You see that? I'm going to make sure I keep that. So, being slightly collage challenged, like I am, I want to make certain that I get this adhered. And I don't have any heavy gloss gel or gel. Everything I have is about the same, I think. Let me look. Okay, I tried to adjust my under books. I'm still not happy with that, but we'll see what happens. Whoop, Leaning Tower of Pizza. See, what happens when I can't get it level is it's going in the middle, and I don't want it to do that. Alrighty, here we are, back. Don't you love the way I got this so centered and even a little bit crooked? And you can even see some of the white gesso up here, but those are okay things. You work around them, you cover them, you paint on them, you just don't worry about it, because I promise you when this is done you won't ever notice those things. Now, I've been thinking for the past few minutes about, I knew I wanted to use this teapot. This is a photograph of an antique French teapot that I helped, well, I was over in France for a 2-week study class, and this was one of the beautiful antiques that we had to choose from to set up a still life. So, this is my photograph. And I'm not going to put the fruit on it. And then I was thinking about, do I just want to paint that on there? And then I thought, I'm going to quit thinking, because what I intend to do is, I've pulled some papers. I've got some cork, really cool stuff. I got it at Walmart on clearance. I've got some 7 Gypsies, one of the Gypsy packs with all kinds of craft ephemera in it. I've got some Japanese papers, and I've got some jelly prints. A lot of these have coppery accents, coppery and greens. So I'm not going to think anymore. And when I fussy cut this, I tore the teapot handle off, and that's okay too. So that will be positioned about like so. And the reason I position it that way is because this is the focal point. It's where the light is the lightest. And I like to work on a tic-tac-toe and kind of put my center of interest here. It's perfectly fine if you want to slap that sucker right in the middle, you just go right ahead. But this is my personal preference, and I'm going to put it right here. I was able to, because this is a stretched canvas, I was able to turn it over face down and really put some pressure on it and dry it. The matte medium is still a little bit damp, but I think it'll be fun. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up, that's Southern, mix up a little bit of gesso, little bit of gesso, about like that. I'm going to put it here in my cup and use my, get back in there, pipette. I can't ever remember that. I've got some water right over here beside me. What I want to do is whitewash this. Crap, I've got another brush that didn't clean good. Don't you just hate it when you do that? I think I'm going to use a sponge, put it on. But I need to stir it, so... Whoops. All I want to do is have a little whitewash look. I don't want to kill the background, but I also don't want it to fight it. So I've just mixed up maybe a tablespoon. It's real thin, about like milk. And I'm just going to brush this over the whole thing. And we'll go see what happens. I've never done this before. You can add too much water to an acrylic product and it breaks down the molecules so that the acrylic doesn't act like acrylic. It's more of a watercolor. But I think I'll get some sealing, which is fun, and some knocking back, which is what I want. I'll push this into the background. And there goes a pile off in the floor. By the way I'm talking, I could have given Mr. Rogers a run for his money. Alrighty, stick that in the pot. I'm going to dry it and I'll be back. Okay, there you go. If once is good, twice will even be better. So I've mixed up a little more slurry. And it's a little bit thicker this time. Now, I'm going to give it a little spritz of water. This is not one of those fancy studio productions where everything's been practiced 14 times. I make this up as I go along. I always put the lid back on my stuff when I get done. This is just a damp paper towel that I have over here to the side. I'm just pouncing it. I want a distressed look. And that's what I've got. I'm going to dry it and I'll be back. Matte medium on the back of my pot. I'm putting it direct on the pot. Don't ask me why. There are no whys, really. Because my tentative plan is to collage over this, kind of a patchwork quilt, and then come back in and paint it. Alright. About right there. See how scientific I am. If you've got some that isn't sticking real good, then just go back in there and slap it down. Go over the top of it real good and make sure my edges are good. Get down, you. Uh-oh. I lost my teapot. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. My memory card got full in the middle of this. When I was doing videos all for myself and by myself, I could do a project and do a video and be done with it and erase the footage. Because once it's on YouTube, I know I'm supposed to keep a backup of what's on YouTube, but anyway, I had another video card, so I put it in. I'm going to flip this over and pull out a Baron. This is a printmaker's Baron. This is a good reason to use a stretched canvas because you can get into the back of it and apply pressure without worrying about sticking or pulling something off. And that did a great job. Alrighty. So far so good, wouldn't you say? You know, I'm doing pretty good now without, once I got that big paper on there, I'm not going to worry about my background too much. Now these are just scrap papers. I'm going to tear some edges. And I'm going to place these pieces by value. Now value means the lightness and darkness. It has nothing to do with the chroma, which is the color. Okay? Color is chroma, or pigment, and value is the lightness and darkness. These are some jelly print tests that I did with some wood block stamp blocks I carved. I did it, but I probably won't do that again. I want some of the copper and some of the white. I'm not getting too fussy at this point. I've got I love this turquoisey, coppery. This is perfect paper. And this is some I made. And it doesn't have to be perfect because I have this print in my computer, I can go back to it. Basically, I'm just having fun with this right now. In fact, I'm having so much fun with it, I am going to just go straight for the matte medium. I don't know that I need this big old honking palette knife, but it's handy, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to try to stay within the outlines. It doesn't really matter because I know I can come back in with my paint. So this is just a lazy person's way of getting the design on there. But it works. And remember, there are no rules. This is and always will be a mixed media painting. Now, I have done a version of this pot in a real painting and a pastel painting, and it was done from start to finish by hand. And it's on right now. It's on my Facebook page on my header. Ugh, I don't need that much. Yeah, that's a clot. We don't want no clots. I'll put it in my water bowl. Anyway, that painting went on to be in a national show, and it won an honorable mention. I don't know how many entries they had. Doesn't really matter. I took the money and ran. Got a real nice ribbon. Here is a paper towel that was a mop-up towel, and it's even got some, isn't that cool? It's got some Tattered Angel spray in it. I don't know if you can see the, we're going to use that for show. I learned early on in mixed media that you save everything. And I just imagine that that is 2 layers. We're going to see. This is my little trick. There are a lot of little tricks. 2 pieces of Scotch tape back to back. And there it is. These particular paper towels that I use, I got from Sam's Club, and they're in a box. They're by Scott, and they're in the contractor's aisle and commercial stuff. And they don't peel apart as easy as a Bounty, or you really don't use a Bounty because they've got a print in them. Viva doesn't have a print. It's just a solid cloth. Ooh, cool. We're picking up some neat pattern in there. Now I've got 2 pieces instead of just 1. I have no clue where that piece of pink paper came from, but if it wants to be in there, it's going to be in there. And what was a muddy cloth that could have been thrown away is now perfect colors for this probably 100-year-old pot. Look at that. Would you just look at it? They do wrinkle, so decide if you want some texture. I don't think I do in the inside this pot. We'll see. I also don't want to use too much of this, but it sure is tempting because it's such a perfect color for what would be a tarnished copper pot. Trying to get most of the straight edges off. And I want it to be very organic. Bye, cantaloupe. See you later. Okay, we can't get too caught up in straight edge is okay on that particular part. Because I do want a little bit of an edge. So kind of what I'm doing is painting my pot with paper. I've got some lighter green with some coppery paint. Again, a jelly print. Don't be afraid of the color. It's really just there because you're going. I intend to cover a lot of it up anyway. And yes, I am getting a little bit nitpicky with little tiny pieces, but I can do that because I want to. Now what's that doing? Oh, that's following me around. Gotta watch those little pieces of paper, fabric, paper towel, because they do like to move. Guess what I got here? Ooh, look at this one. Round and round we go. Where we stop, nobody knows. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. My old timers tell me how much they love my narration, because it helps them realize that There really are no rules and there's no mistakes. Quit doing that and you'll quit moving your pieces around. Fingers are always good. I'll pick matte medium off my fingers all evening. This is, yeah, it might be alright. Let's see what we can pull out of this. That teal color is pretty. And this is printed on deli paper. This is the paper that you get in your chip bowl when you're at a Mexican restaurant. That clear, it's a, let's see, what do they call it? It's like wax paper, but it's not as heavy. And you can buy it in bulk at your big box stores. Some restaurants even use a colored or printed deli paper, and if you stick your finger in your dimple and smell in a restaurant real good, your server might bring you 40 or 50 sheets of it, and you can collect that from different restaurants. I'm real good with my finger in my dimple, so I've got some great stuff from Smashburger. They print on theirs in red with just words, and it's great collage material. And the other thing about it is that it turns translucent when you put it down, so anything that's not got paint on it pretty much just disappears. Here's a good one. I don't want that much white on it. Remember I said I was doing this by value, so my darker prints I'm putting in the darker areas of the pot. And when I get finished with this collage, if I'm successful, it will almost resemble the original Teapot in pieces of paper. And you could stop there. I don't know where that piece was supposed to be, but it didn't want to stay there, so we'll move it. I need some of that dark over on this side. The other thing is, because I'm working on top of a photograph, it's a laser print. If I don't cover every little speck of it, say had I drawn it on my collage paper, if I had drawn it onto the teacup paper, I would have to pay more attention to covering the whole thing. See, it kind of resembles. Now you tell me if it doesn't. It kind of resembles what we started with. Now when you tear paper, I've taught this before, if you bring it toward you, the piece that you want, say, is in your left hand, if you pull it toward you, you're going to get a white edge. See that? If you pull it away from you, you will get the paint edge. Both are correct. Just pay attention to what you're doing and think about it just a little bit. Whichever edge you want, that's the one you tear to get. some of this butterfly. I want some of this blue. See, I'm tearing toward me and I'm getting that white edge. So I'm going to use this piece. There are lots of sites on the internet with photography. Just make sure that you're using it from a public domain or one that's a Creative Commons license. Because photographers are artists too. And you don't ever want to be the source of someone's grief. So unless you have written permission to use someone's photograph, don't do it. Take your own. Capiche? And you can use an inkjet print on your home computer. More than likely would have to seal it first because that ink is not permanent. And it'll run just like a watercolor or a spray ink. We're cooking with gas now. That color really looks good there. I love it when your fingers get sticky to the point the paper adheres to them and not where you're wanting it to go. Stick down there. Need some of that dark stuff on the lid. So what I'm really kind of doing here is using the purchased paper from Canvas Corp as the theme paper for my collage. It was the idea generator. And then I'm using papers that I've made to do the collaging. And And who would have thought this ugly dyed paper towel left over from cleanup, whoops, whoopsie, it does so well that I can't even tell where I put it. Now just look at that. Would you just look at that? Put another little piece right here. And a piece of the orange. Right there. And that's it. Isn't that cute? Cute. Now what do we want to do? Oh, by the way, I'm leaving the hand a little bit easier to paint that than it will be to collage it. Okay, those papers can go back in the bin. I'm going to dry it a little bit and I'll come back. Wish I'd had the camera on just now so y'all could have seen what I did. I touched this and my fingers were so sticky that it pulled up part of the laser print, the paper underneath it. It was an area that had not had a piece of paper put on it. So that's why you got to be careful with your hands, because you will destroy your stuff as fast as you put it on. But not to worry, because I still have all these papers. So I grabbed a jar and was going to just glue another piece of dark paper over that white spot. Many different ways to fix it. I could have waited until I was painting and covered it that way. But what I did was grab the wrong jar and I grabbed white gesso. So when I realized what I had done, I wiped it off. You can see it here, and I got a little bit of water on it. And then found the gel medium and covered that spot. So there are no mistakes, there are no dramas. They're just opportunities to cover it with something else and keep going. Isn't that cute? I could stop here and I could just come back in with some India ink and a dip pen or a Stabilo all pencil or anything that would mark on matte medium and just draw some lines, and this could be done. But that's not all. We're going to keep going. Let's see what I've got here. Don't you just love those plastic stickers they put on everything? I worked all summer getting my studio organized, and yes, that sticker could have been used on something, but you can't save it all. What you do have to do in a mixed media studio is that you have to get a drawer system or cube system, some kind of storage system, so that you can keep your bits and pieces organized so you can find them if you want them. Look how pretty. These are real thin pieces of cork, and they would just be yummy used somewhere. I'm leaning on toward the background. I'm not sure if I got two of those. Look at that, whole $3. Yeah, this one's it's the same. I can see some of that being used around my edges, but I don't think I'm ready to go there yet. Well, yeah, maybe I am. Maybe I am. Just tear, yeah. Now guys, that is just cool. I don't care who you are, that's cool. Okay, matte medium. I wish I knew where I was going, but I don't. Well, poopy. I dropped that little piece in the floor. Underneath my desk is a giant black hole. If anything gets dropped down there, chances are really good you'll never see it again. But I did find some pieces from a project I'm working on in encaustic, these little pieces. And you know what? I think they'd be kind of cute on this too. So, there you go. Now see if you can do this without dropping it again. Oh, that was that glue bottle, or that paint bottle plug. There's 3 of those. It's good. And I've got the pieces of the paper left. I don't think I'm going to do that yet. Okay, what are you going to do next? You got 3 of those on there, that works. Let me turn this off while I think. Back, and I did decide that I wanted to use some of these scraps. If you follow me for any length of time at all, you'll notice that I usually don't put anything square to the world. I guess I would if I was doing some kind of a plaid pattern or something that had to be. Sometimes the best tool is your finger. Okay, there's 3 of those. Let's since I love that this so much, I'm going to dance some of that around. Okay. Since I've got a whole bucket of Tattered Angels over here, courtesy Canvas Corp, I can always put more Glimmer Mist on this. Don't you dare fall in the black hole. Okay. You know, every time my muse leaves me for any period of time, even if it's just a few days, I always get scared that it's not going to come back. But I have a spouse who has seen me go through so many different psychological games, if you will, that I play with myself. He says, yeah, you're just recharging. Take a couple of days off and you'll be back creating again, just like you'd never taken a break. But if you don't take a break when you need to, you're not going to accomplish anything. So take a break, go read a book. If it takes you a couple of days, take a couple of days. It doesn't matter. And don't do what I've always done in the past, is get yourself so wrapped up in deadlines that you forget to enjoy what you're doing. Okay, there's my lecture for the day. I could put some of these, I need to put some of these in the middle. We don't want this to end up looking like a planned composition. Now do we? Now what's that, you might say? That's the beginnings of a shadow, cast shadow. Except it wouldn't be there. Because if my light's coming from here, my cast shadow would be... Where would it be? Where do we want to make it be? Yeah, that works. My painting, I can do whatever I want to do. That one's just about gone, but we'll keep it. Now where's that gesso that I grabbed earlier? Okay, I'm propping it up. I'm wetting it across the top. And I'm putting a little bit of gesso along the top. Spray bottle. You know what? I need to dry this just a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna dry. Okay, I was testing a few things. Now I'm gonna come back and show you what I did. That's code word for I forgot to turn the camera on. But what I did, I took some of the Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, shake it side to side, and then take the lid off very carefully and dip a paintbrush in there. And because this is so transparent, now a little bit of a spray bottle, and my favorite technique of the moment, alcohol, 91% isopropyl alcohol, and that's my pipette I've been using, and you just sprinkle it down. Now the other thing that I did was very carefully sprayed a few places and I deliberately wanted a coarse pattern. I just love that. So that's what I did, and occasionally tap it so that some of it will run a little bit. I want it to have some movement, and that's where we are right now. So I've got to decide where I'm going with this. I'm going to dry some more. Promise I won't leave y'all out. This time I used a little bit of the Tattered Angels High Impact paint. Again, I just used the wet brush and moving that around a little bit. A little bit of alcohol. Now because these paints, these are dye-based paints. The High Impact is not, it's an acrylic. But the sprays that I used under are dye-based paint. They will continue to move a little bit on you. So just use that to your advantage. Okay, Randy just came in, so another High Impact. This one is light gold.
Are you doing video?
Today's one of those days. Not only have I concocted my own sage greeny color here. I've switched projects again. I hope the video editor can keep up with me. I think I'll leave the paint mixing to the pros. But I had this tube of dried Daniel Smith Earth Green. And this is what it looked like when it came out of the tube. It is like a rock. So malachite or marble or whatever this was made out of is indestructible. So I mixed it with a little walnut ink. I've got some gum arabic in it. I've got some acrylics. I've got some sprays. But it's kind of a coppery color, and I couldn't stand to let that ink go to waste, or that watercolor pigment go to waste. I'm dropping alcohol into it now. And I can see the granulation from that watercolor pigment. And you can see the color. It's kind of it's an earthy. And I think it could use a little more fluidity. And if you've watched any of my videos, you'll see that I don't do anything really drastic on each step. I just kind of keep adding to it, taking away, covering up, playing. And I'm going to draw this. I'll be back. It's a little bit difficult to film a process video when you're still learning about the materials. These are the glimmer glazes. A little bit of paint, see what happens. I still haven't decided whether to paint my teapot or just glaze over some areas, because the glimmer glazes are so transparent. Can y'all see that? I can accent the edges. Come back in with a brush and highlight the papers that are already under there. Because when I did this, I didn't intend. I really thought that I was going to completely paint over the papers, and I'm just flipping back and forth between colors just like I know what I'm doing. And I just put some paint in the middle of that little ring that I don't want. And I've got some walnut ink out. It's in a spray bottle, but very carefully. Transparently. Feeling my way around, trying to decide where I want to go. The other thing is that I put this piece of paper towel down here, which kind of acts like a shadow. The light from my original source photo was straight on. So if that shadow's there, I have to change my light source to over here to kind of bounce off that and off of that. So we're going to play with these glimmers. See if we can create a little fool of the eye. And if I can't get it with the glimmer stains, or let's see, glimmer glaze, then I can come back in with a little bit of judicious acrylic paint. I'm going to dry this and see where we are. I've switched to the high impact paint because it's still sheer, but it doesn't have glimmer in it. And see what, if anything, we can get. I may have to switch to a regular mixed media paint. This is a burnt umber color. It's not, doesn't have a label. I'm working with warehouse samples, so I just want to get a feel for how these work for me. It's kind of a greenish brown color. Just adding a little bit of form. And by that I mean shadow away from the light and highlight toward the light. Easy peasy. And that begins to create the illusion of a three-dimensional object. My collage papers really did work well on the teapot. This one is copper metallic, so this does have mica. Fingers always come in handy. A little bit of green, because copper oxidizes green. Green and turquoise. I don't know where we're going, but I'll let y'all know when we get there. How about that? Okay, I've switched into some Deco Art fluid acrylic, and I'm going to paint right out of the bottle. Now this is still fairly sheer. I said, fingers always come in handy. But the coverage is a little bit more. That was raw umber. This is sap green. Now I want to point out something to you guys. I hope you noticed it from the beginning videos. This was a source photo of mine that I took from a still life setup. And the still life setup had an orange right here. Well, that orange just happened to play into this teapot and formed kind of an interesting shape for the spout. So I'm leaving that there because I think it's, well, for one, I think it's really cool, and two, I think it's really cool. I'm going to use some more of my sagey green. That's really a nice color. This teapot really is an antique teapot from France. Not used today because it has a tin liner. Don't want to kill anybody. I'm going to blot some of that up. Okay, let's see, what do I want now? I'm going to dry this and I'll be back. I have a little bit of unbleached titanium. I'm going to put around this lightest area here and here. My brush is very wet. And my previous layers aren't totally dry. Which is good because I just want this to. And my brush being so wet means that this paint is not going to cover. It's going to be fairly translucent, which is what I'm after. Remember, I'm kind of changing the direction of the light a little bit to make the shadow read just a little bit better. Woo. That was a loud pop. Goes the weasel. Dry bit. Okay, I'm gonna do some stenciling. I need to get my stencils. I picked this little one by Stencil Girl because it kind of reminds me of the square collage papers, and I picked this one. It's a doily from DecoArt, and it might just make a little bit of a statement over here. I wish I could get this more in the screen. I'm going to mix up DecoArt modeling paste. Hello. And I'm going to color it with my sage green. And need a little more water in that. I didn't mix up too much. Okay. I'll give it just a spritz of walnut ink. Don't know why, just because I can. I'm not going to mix the bedevil out of it. And I only want to put around the pot. I don't want to put over it. Remember, when you deal with modeling paste, wash your stencil off immediately. Now this is going to be very subtle. Ooh, yeah, baby. And I got a little bit left. I'm going to put it on the stencil. I'm going to put it on this other canvas I've been working on. That's a commission. Take a wet paper towel and get off the rest of it. Texture. Don't waste anything. So see, I just got a little bit of the leftover texture. Can y'all see that? I don't know if you can. There you kind of can. Kind of can. Okay, put that away. And we have a little bit of the paste left. Cool. I told you now, it's real subtle. And that is pretty much what I wanted. Let's go ahead and use up the rest of it. Just a little. I'm going to put the rest of this one on here. I don't think there's much left, but a little. A little. Wipe it off. baby wipes, damp paper towels, doesn't really matter. Okay. Now that is luscious. I like. No. I don't think we're done yet with the modeling paste. What do I want to do now? I'll be right back. I am so impatient. I'm going to use a little bit of unbleached titanium and some water. Mix it up real good over here on my pad. That's a beautiful color. And then I'm going to spray my corners and across the top. Trying to stay away from the modeling paste. Oh, that's so funny. Because it really needs to dry. I'm really liking what I've got so far. And that ended up having just a little bit of a greenish cast. Whoops, not water. Might have been some of my homemade green. Now I'm going to put a little alcohol on this. And it will, the alcohol will push away the color. And part of what I've done on the previous layers will show through. Just love that stuff. Put some on the sides. And just let it drip. Whoops, I just sprayed myself in the face. You want it good and juicy when you're using the alcohol. And of course I got into some of the wet modeling paste. Of course. And I think it's about time for me to get out of this for the day. But there are no mistakes. Lid on. I've got a little bit coming over the teapot, and I think I'm going to leave it. And the reason I'm going to leave it, it's right here, is because that makes it look a little more organic, like it belongs to the background. Turn the camera off so I can dry. I wish you guys could see this better. The walnut ink in the modeling paste down here is kind of showing up a little. Remember, I didn't mix it all that well. This is an interesting corner up here with a little piece of, it looks like a paint chip. You can see some of the glimmer mist coming through, some of the paper towels. These are some scraps of the paper that I tore off the edges. Faint, faint. Easy baby steps. I don't know why I did that, and then I just stick my brush back in it. Just making some distress marks, using up what's left of the paint on the sides of this canvas. And I think I'm in love with this burlap canvas, or not burlap, this is the duck cloth. And to not have had a plan when I started, I have one now. And that's part of the advantage of working slow. Because if you don't have a real set idea where you're going, somebody's at the door. Sorry about that. Anyway, as I was saying, I had this laying on my desk from another project, and I could have put that in. It's a little three-dimensional tile, but I don't want to take away from my teapot. So anyway, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, everything looks organic. Even the modeling paste over here that's just barely visible. And as I work slowly on a project like this, all of a sudden I start to get ideas. And now I know where I'm headed with it. If you'll recall, I left myself plenty of room to change my mind, let it happen. And there are some things that I do that I don't really know why I do them, but it works. Now that cast shadow is here. I'm back with the walnut ink. And I'm going to give this just a little bit of a shadow here. Just a little. Just a little. And I'm going to give it a cast shadow here. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can give it one here. Again with the wet paper towel. That could come in just a little bit right there. cast shadows are at their strongest at their point closest to the light. And then as the light dissipates, they become more one with the background. And I think I better let this dry today or overnight. Come back to it tomorrow, because I want everything good and dry for the next step. So over and out, and I'll see you guys later. Let me scoot that over just a little bit so you can see it. Alrighty, back. Clear spot. Okay, mostly it's in there. Try to get rid of some of the glare. That's a little bit better. Overhead light on. I've got a shadow, but there's only so much I can do. Here's where I left off yesterday. The sage color modeling paste down here. Just a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit over here. And I've got some French stencils, and I had planned to do this before yesterday's horrific event. In fact, I was talking with my good friend Kippy, who lives about an hour and a half south of Paris when it started. So we had a blissful little conversation on Skype without knowing that things were going to drastically change. Okay. I have this stencil from DecoArt that says patisserie, and I know enough French to know that that means pastry, or at least in my world it does mean pastry. So with a teapot, I experimented with the walnut ink by putting it this way, and it fits fine. I abhor things that are straight on. Abhor. That's a big word for an Ozark girl. But in this case, I think I'm going to put it square to the world, because it is perfect for this 12-inch canvas. And then I have another word over here, chocolatia. Chocolatia. And I think I'm going to do something with that here. And maybe the address down here. I don't know. We're going to play with it. But I think that's what I'm going to do. This is walnut ink. And it appears to be permanent. No, not really. That's okay. And I put it through the stencil to see if I liked it like that. And I kind of do and I kind of don't. So I'm going to go here. But I'm leaving that, because it's so faint, it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to come in here and with my sponge, I'm going to spray it with the walnut ink. And I think I'm going to put it just a little off center. It's because I want this to be my shadow. Up and down. I'm catching the little doohickey under there. See, what do we call those? I don't remember. Type fonts have a lot of those little dingbat things. Little flourishes. You're going to see why I put this off center in a minute. And I don't think I'm totally happy with that. So I'm going to put that back. I have in my hand a Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist in dried lavender. And I used some Glimmer Mist when I first did my patterning. And I have a Deco Art Thumper. I'm going to see if I can pick up any color. This canvas may have too much matte medium on it to effectively take this. But we will find the perfect match. Never fear. Anything will work here. You could even use a dried baby wipe. But little sponges or baby wipes will go down into these holes better. We're going to see what we get here in a minute. Have you ever had chocolate in Paris? It's the weirdest stuff. It was like when your mom used to make chocolate pudding and you get a bite or two of it before it was fully set up. That's what the hot chocolate reminded me of. Was eating warm pudding. Wasn't at all like our hot chocolate. But the watered down stuff we make in the microwave would gross them out for sure. If y'all don't learn anything else from me, watching me, I have always had a theory about color. In fact, I even realized that at one point that I dressed in values, meaning that I don't care what color you use, if it's the same tone of darkness, it will read from a distance as the same color. For example, the walnut ink and this purple are pretty much the same value. So if you stand back away from this, you're going to see that value. Mid-tone, a little lighter than a perfect mid-tone. But that's what you're going to see. Now when you get up close to it, the nuance of the different colors that make that up appears. From a distance you see one color. When you get up close, you see the individual colors. This adds a real texture, visual texture to your work. Alright, this may not yield anything, and if it doesn't, don't panic. And it didn't. Well, there you go. Not a bloomin' thing. Okay. Be gone with you then. Okay, so I'm going to have to have something just a little bit thicker. Wipe my stencil off first while I'm thinking. Okay, here's my idea. I wanted this to be up here and have a little bit of a shadow. Shadow's over here, which means if I wanted a shadow I had to offset it just a little bit and then come back and put modeling paste on top of it. So that tells me I've got to go for an ink pad. Let's see what we have to choose from. Don't want black. Nope. Nope. Blue, no, I don't think so. Butterscotch I don't think will show up. Blue, green, gold. Oregano. Oregano, Adirondack. Now let's see what happens. First thing I want to do is center it. I'm going to bring it up a little. Up. What's that? Oh, I bent my little E. Can you hear that poor baby? Now, do I want it down that low? No, I want it up here. I'm going to move it just a little. Still not doing just great. Oh, that poor baby. His daddy be outside mowing the yard. Probably the last time this year. I'm going to put this sponge down and I'm going to get one of my Tim Holtz finger things. Maybe the density of the foam will give me the impression I think I'm after. Yeah, I think that's better. I just told myself to slow down and enjoy the process. I was frantically pressing down with my free hand and stomping as fast as I could go with this little tool, and there's no point. It's the process, stupid. The other thing about this is that I've got so much visual texture going on underneath. This pattern is so delicate that it might have trouble anyway showing up. So whatever I get, I'll be happy with. And I can always come back in with a dip pen or something like that and refine it. See, there I go. Impatience. I hope I was done since I just moved that. Oh yeah, we got a little better that time. A little bit better. Not too much on the fine lines. A little bit here and there. Now I'm going to dry that. And then I'll be back. Here we go, experimenting again. I have Deco Art modeling paste. Mix it right there. There's a little bit of my purple glimmer mist there, but I don't care. And I've got, this is called Fuzzy Coconut in the Glimmer Mist Glimmer Glaze. This is the one with the little fingernail dauber. We're just going to see what we get. There's no way of predicting what colors are going to do when they're blended with white. The modeling paste dries translucent. Yeah, I said that. It may not. Okay, that's a good color. See, I'm getting kind of a just fed my stomach. It shouldn't be growling. Okay, a little bit more. We had wonderful Vietnamese today. I love they have a sandwich that's got shredded pork on it and pickled radish and carrots. It's yummy. Of course, my nickname from many years ago is Wimpy because I love hamburgers. Alright, that's a good color. And if I get some glimmer, that's just an added bonus. In fact, I think what I'm going to do nope, not that one. Why did I put it back? I didn't. It's sitting right there beside me. Just for grins, I'm going to put a squirt of glimmer mist in it. Aha! That's a perfect color.
Huh?
I'm taping. Okay, there's my P. Now I want to be just off registration on this. A little bit higher and to the right. Because I want that brownish color to be my shadow. Okay. Alright, here we go. Color is perfect. It's like a distressed lavender. But it killed the white of the modeling paste. I'm also picking up a little bit of the ink that was still on the stencil, and that's fun too. You ready for the big reveal? By Jove, I think we've got it. Perfect. Look at that. Absolutely perfect color. Can you see that? It's purple and that brownish color, and the ink from the previous stamping kind of went in there in odd places. I got a great stencil through here. It's almost centered. Oh well. I'm going to turn this off because I've got to clean that stencil. I've decided to add number 7 Rue Saint Soleil, and I'm going to stack that right down here in this corner. I wish it was a little bit smaller, but it's not, so we'll make do. I'm back with the same oregano ink pad. I'm so glad I sprayed that little lavender in with that modeling paste and that copper glaze. Oops, I didn't mean to go that far. Here, number 7, Rue. It's hard to hold on that. I'm going to come down just a little on the edge, and this is a stretched canvas. Okay, dry it a little. And dip in. Walnut ink. I don't know if you have to shake that or not. Shake well. Always nice to read the directions. Okay, I'm going for the word chocolatier. Yeah, I'll have a cup of that hot chocolate. I don't need no spoon. What do I need a spoon for? Oh. You got any of that calf slobber to put on top? You know, whipped cream. I know, I'm bad. Bad to the bone. So far, so good. And I originally thought about some more modeling paste, but you know what? That turned out so nice, I'm not going to compete with it. No, sir, I'm not. I'm going to see if I can do some casual ink lines around this teapot. I love a dip pen. If y'all don't have one, get one. It makes the absolute finest scratchy line. I tried doing calligraphy, but I'm having trouble getting it to start. Here we go. Slow down. We're not on a race. Now it got started. Poopy! The wonders and the joys of matte medium. Could be because of the surface you're on. The other thing that you could do is dip your pen in some water. Just the very tip of it. And that'll encourage it to move. I think I'd better call it quits on this for today. Because I don't want to mess that up. I'm thinking about putting some more white drizzles, but I may not. So I'm going to stop on this one today.